Okay, what do you guys think? This is just such a beautiful base, and I feel like it's really versatile. You can use like different products to achieve this look, at least the base. But I tried to explain like my methods and like what to look for. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to have the exact same foundation or the exact same setting powder to achieve this type of base. And I just try to tell you what to look for when you're buying products like this if you want to achieve a look like this. But the eyeshadow look though, I did this look with the Dior Backstage Smoky Essentials palette. Really nice. It's funny, I didn't end up doing like a smoky eye look, but I got like a mauve toned dramatic eye. So beautiful. I wore this last night to a dinner with some friends, and I really did love my makeup. So this is a really in-depth tutorial. I'm sharing like a lot of my hacks, little tricks to make my makeup look like this. So if you want to know what I did, keep on watching. Okay, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to try to do this in a way where I'm trying not to like influence anyone to buy anything. These are just what I'm using, but there's so many great products out there nowadays. So I'm gonna do more of like a, look for this in that type of product to get a similar look. But I'm starting off with my base today, and I'm gonna start with the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. This is a recent find for me, but I really do like it. I normally go for like matte finishes when it comes to foundations, but I've been experimenting with like dewy, like glowy ones. I don't really like dewy, like that I'm pretty much solid on, but I've been going for like, it's like a satin finish, and I think this is a really nice one for that. The only thing I have on right now is sunscreen, but I put a pump and a half like on the back of my hands. I'm gonna use my finger to spread it out like this, and then I'll use my blending brush to buff everything in. This is like ever so slightly tanner and warmer than I am, but it's okay, it works out. And now that the weather's getting warmer, I will be outdoors more, so this will probably match me in like 2 weeks. I'm just using this brush to spread everything, and then I'll kind of dab in places to make sure I get like a very like airbrush finish. But this foundation on its own, it doesn't leave like streaks. Like even right now, while it's still pretty thick, I'm not seeing that many streaks. So you could spread around if you want, but this will just give you a more flawless finish. This one is a great like medium coverage foundation. I feel like full coverage foundations are really hard to work with, especially if you don't have like the exact undertone. So in general, I just recommend getting like a medium coverage foundation because it's a little bit more workable, you know, with contour and bronzer. And sometimes I'll literally use like color correcting concealers to make my foundations look a bit more olive toned. But yeah, that's what to look for in a foundation for this type of look. Yeah, you can tell this doesn't like fully match me, but it's okay. I'm using a really nice like brightening concealer, so it'll kind of fix that up. Okay, next, I absolutely love the Hourglass foundation, or not foundation, the concealer, but I've been looking for a couple of drugstore options. Like I do have a few I do want to try up next, but right now I'm testing out this one. This is from L'Oreal. It's the Infallible Full Coverage Concealer, and I grabbed the shade 345 Oatmeal. So this, I'm going to only use a little bit of because I don't really need as much coverage, just more for like brightening. So I'm also going to prime my lids with this, like that. And then I'll use a brush. Oops. I'll use a dense like concealer blending brush and blend everything out. And I am going to try to just stick to tapping around my eyes. I'm trying to be more gentle. I was doing a good job until like about a week ago, and then I started like rubbing everything in. It's just so much faster, but I need to do this because this really doesn't take that long. I'm just impatient. When I'm blending my concealer, I bring it always down to like the sides of my nose right here, because this will help like slim my nose up, especially because I contour. So this just makes sure I don't like, this kind of provides like a barrier to make sure my contour doesn't go too far. I know a lot of people like to wait for their concealers to dry a little bit before blending it out. I personally don't, because I'm not really looking for like high coverage most of the time. I'm looking for more brightening, and this just works out. And this blends better because, you know, if it's like a little dry, it is harder to blend out, and I'm trying to be as efficient as I can. So just a little tip for blending: wherever you want coverage, you want to dab, because that's going to keep the product where it is, and you can slowly blend it out. But if you want more blend, just go gently like this with a very fluffy brush, and then you can kind of get a pretty seamless blend, like how I'm doing over here. Looks good. Now I'm going to take my favorite setting powder and set my eyes with this. Well, pretty much around my whole eyes. I'm using the Mercier setting powder. This one does cost a pretty penny, and I do think it's worth the price, but I really did stop because it was, I did want to try other ones that are more affordable, but this one is really nice. But if you want to try alternatives, or you're looking for another setting powder, look for one that isn't like a white one, right? Like it'll say translucent, but the powder is actually white. I feel like it's really hard to get rid of that cast, even like if you're really fair. I mean, if you're really fair, it'll work out for you, but I'm not. I'm like light to medium, and then during the summer I get pretty tan. But this one, I mean, if you look at the powder, it's very, you know, it has like a sandy color. So get a setting powder that kind of goes close to your skin tone. So if you're a deeper complexion, get something that is deeper and warmer tone, because that'll bring dimension. Warmer colors tend to bring like dimension out, so like brightening, things like that. So this one is like a soft, light, warm color. Okay, looks good. And I always like to use a triangle puff for this. Anytime I've tried to set any base with a brush, it just never sets, and I just don't get that nice flawless finish I look for. And next, I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows. I haven't been using like brow pomade these days, so I've just been filling it in, and I just use, you know, a color that works with my brow. You want to look for like something a little cooler toned. Like I feel like anytime I see eyebrows like not mesh well or melt well on someone's makeup is if it's too warm tone. That goes for even if their complexion is very warm tone, but their brows are sticking out because it's just not the right undertone. It's too warm. So if you're between two eyebrow colors for like your eyebrow pencil, go for the cooler tone. But I'll use the spoolie on this other end to kind of buff some of that color in. I hope my face is looking really good in the camera, because in my little viewfinder, I look a little insane. But let's see. I know the contrast on my viewfinder isn't that great, but it's okay. Now for the exciting part, I'm gonna go in for my eyes while the rest of this kind of sits. I'm using the Dior Backstage Eye Palette in number 2, Smoky Essentials. Look how pretty that is. Oh my. I did a couple like close-up shots before I dipped my brush into this, just because like the textures on this is just so pretty. And I just wanted like a little memory of that. But I dug it in yesterday, and we're about to dig into it again now. Okay, so we're really close now, and I'm basically going to recreate the look I did last night when I went to dinner with a couple friends. And it was basically like this mauvey, like not even berry, like smoky eye. It was so pretty. And I was surprised at how strong the pinks were here. But time to dig it. I'm going to take my fluffy blending brush, and I'll start off with this shade right here and basically start getting my crease going. And so I did have to dip into this palette like multiple times. Like I already dipped in twice, dipping in again, third time. I know I set my eyelid really well, and that'll help get like a really nice blend. But these lighter colors, I mean, maybe it's just like the tone of it, but I do have to dip in quite a few times to get the color to really pop. But that's fine. I really do like more blendable shadows. But I remember when, after I bought this palette, like I was looking for some inspiration, and everyone just kept saying it's so pigmented. Like, look at that. This is like 3 or 4 times it dipped in. This is once. But I'm fine with dipping in multiple times. but it's not like typically with higher end makeup, you get more of a buttery, like really high pigmented like shadows. So this was really like a first, because I have never tried any Dior eyeshadow palettes, but I mean some of the darker colors, I haven't tried all the shades, but so, like one of the dark colors we'll get into later, it does have a lot more pigment, but still nothing like anything like Tom Ford or Pat McGrath level of pigment. So that's just my little 2 cents from using this palette once yesterday. Okay, but got my crease pretty much going. I'm going to use the same brush again, and I'm going to dip into this like deeper pink shade, like mid-tone pink shade. I'm going to get that brush nice and loaded up. I don't know if you guys hear my son singing something, but I like to just dab the shadow on my outer corner right here, just to place the pigment in. I'm going to dip back in here again, the same shade. I'm going to put it on the inside of my eyes. Now this, since it's like lightly pigmented, it's nice that you can build it up like this. And then for my eye shape, this is just the best type of look. Now everyone's eye shape is different, but I really feel like this does suit a lot of people. Like doing this method of like creating more depth. And then I'm just gonna like not fully take in my brush like this, but a little sideways like this, and kind of blend it out from the outside right here and deepen my crease. Yeah, that's a really pretty shade. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye. Now this being my second time using this eyeshadow palette, that it's not like the formula, the pan itself of these eyeshadows are like harder, because I did dip in quite a bit, and like you can see let me get really close on. I don't know if you can tell, but like I dipped into this a lot, and the like embellishments on here haven't really changed. Like this one got pretty flat because I did use a whole bunch of this, and I'm using this one right now, but I don't know, it is a harder pan, which is honestly good if you want that blendability, because if it's something that's just not pigmented, you're gonna get chalkiness. And chalkiness is the last thing you want on your eyes, because then it's just gonna look like really bad. So this is like a true buildable eyeshadow, because it's not applying just a lot of product at once. I think that's what happened. This is not like chalky. It's not like necessarily less pigmented. Less pigment is depositing because this is a like harder eyeshadow pan. Not that makes any sense at all, but anyone that's in like formulations or anything, tell me if you tried this palette, let me know if you think this is true. I'm switching to a crease brush, and I'm gonna dip into the deeper like plum shade right here. And I'm only applying this more to like the tip of the brush. And I'll basically dab the shadow here and build like just darken my outer V. And I'm just blending with this one because I don't want this color to go too far. I love like purpley tones, but I didn't think like my first look with this was going to be such a like purple toned look. I thought I was just gonna do like a more classic smoky eye, but this is just what happened yesterday. Sometimes you just gotta let the makeup tell you what to do. Now I'm going back in with that same first fluffy blending brush and dipping to the first transition shade I applied. I'm going to diffuse this darker shade out. I don't want to use the mid-tone pink because I feel like that might make the eyes a bit too dark, but I'm just using this right at the top of the darker shade and diffuse it out. And I do want to carry this in like all the way at the end of my eyelid right here. And this will just make everything look softer and get rid of any patchiness. A lot of people like to blend with nothing on the brush, but I always recommend blending things out with a little bit of a transition shade. And if you don't have like a nice transition shade, like say you're using like a quad of eyeshadows and there's not like a good transition shade, I've done this multiple times before, but use like a powder foundation that you have or your translucent setting powder, because it'll just help blur everything out. I'm gonna use that same crease brush and dip into the purple shade just right on the tip, and I'm gonna smoke out my bottom lash line. And I'm really placing a lot of this on the outer corner right here, so it blends in with my top eyelid. Time to highlight like the center of my lid. I used this shade yesterday, and I'm using like a flat, dense brush to pick up the colors. And I switched to using a smaller brush here because I feel like this gives a more, like if you were to use your fingers, it kind of gives more of like that feeling rather than like a brush, because it's very like slim. It just picks it up like a lot smoother. But these shimmers aren't really that shimmery. It's like a muted shimmer, if I had a word for it. But I'm just placing that all over my lid. And this is still a really pretty color. And I'm gonna use this shade as a highlight as well. And it helps pull in the look together. Yeah, this is a really pretty peachy shade. And since it's like a warmer peachy shade, it does bring dimension from like the rest of the palette, because the rest of the palette is pretty cool toned. So this in the center of the lids, or like the inner half, really pretty. Now I'm going in with like this liner angled brush and dip into the black shade, and I'll basically create liner with this. I really don't like using like harsh liners. And this is just my go-to, like just this method, using a black eyeshadow and just dabbing it on my lash line to get a nice smoked wing. Now I always love a really good black eyeshadow for, this, but this one in particular is not like one of the darkest blacks out there. I will say that it's more of like a charcoal, which is fine, but just for anyone that wants to do like a full-on black smoky liner, you might have to use another one, but this is still a nice black. Like for this palette it works, but if you want like a really dramatic look for a liner, you might have to wet the brush. That might create a more richer, deeper color, but on its own like this, you can kind of tell it's like a charcoal type of black. But it goes with this look because I am going for like a softer look over here. I have my liner on, and it doesn't need to be like absolutely perfect because I'm putting on lashes, and after I do lashes, I also like to go over where I have the lash band with the black shadow again, and that helps basically like mattify any of the glue or just that lash band in general, because that can really mess up a look if you have like a shiny lash band. So that's my other little hack out there for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick my lashes on. I'll be right back. Fun fact, I almost always have a drink while I sit here and do makeup, and I have my iced coffee today with like this speculoos cookie flavor. It's so good. Okay, here's to show you with lashes, without lashes. Man, it really, really does pull the look in together. I'm waiting for this one to dry, but I'm going back in with the angled brush, and I'm literally just dabbing over where this glue is, and it basically makes like the lashes look a little bit more seamless with my eyes. I don't know if the camera shows a difference, but I promise in real life it does make a big difference. And then you can also use this brush to blend, like if you have like a harsh edge where your lash ends, just kind of blend it in. We're just kind of like tucking in the lashes to make it less noticeable that it's false lashes, even though obviously I have false lashes on. Okay, got my lashes on. This one's like still drying a bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and color in my waterline with just some black eyeliner. No, that probably wasn't in frame at all. Hold on. Okay, there we go. The waterline is done, and then always make sure you're using a little bit of mascara on your bottom lashes, because if you have like really like full-on top lashes and then like ashy lashes on the bottom, it's just not gonna look right. So just a little bit over there, and then just a little bit on the tips of my natural lashes, just to blend it in, because when you put on a lot of shadows and products, it's gonna gray out your lashes a little bit. So you wanna make sure that you use a little mascara to blend everything back in. And then I'm also going to, I think this is dry enough, also put some eyeshadow on this lash band as well. It can look really tacky if like you have your lash band just like sticking out at you, and it really draws attention to the lash band itself and the lash glue and not necessarily to your eye look. So keep that in mind. After lashes, I like to deepen up my look sometimes. And I do remember I did this yesterday. So I went back in with my crease brush, dipped a little bit into the black shade, and basically darkened this outer corner right here. And I blended it into the purple. This is just for a little bit more depth. It's not even gonna, it's barely gonna look like I even have the black shadow in my crease, but yeah, it adds more dimension. I did wear this like at night, so I really needed my makeup to look like, have more dimension to it. And this just worked perfectly. See, like with and without. So if you need a little bit depth, just use a darker shade after you put on lashes. And go ahead and do this. Very pretty. And if you ever feel like you put too much, just use your first transition shade and it'll kind of cover up that depth. But I really do like the depth. So that's pretty much all for the eyes. Yeah, this is just so pretty. Now back to the base. I'm really excited because I love doing like blush and bronzer. Okay, first I'm going in with my bronzer. I'm using like a dense like brush right here, and I'm basically going to contour with this, even though you want to contour with something cooler tone, but this one just worked for me yesterday, so I'm just going to use it again. This one I really like. I've been testing this more recently. It was recommended by someone on TikTok that I totally trust because their face looks absolutely flawless like every day. So I use this, but I did grab a warmer tone, but I am going to get like a cooler toned one. I'm just wiping the excess off here. I'm blending this out. And I've been applying my contour with just a brush. I used to apply just like the stick directly to my face or whatever the product was, just directly on. But I really do like doing this instead because it just lets me apply it right where I want it. I don't really have to blend it out that much. I did use more on my nose right now, but it's okay. But creating a little contour, and I always do the bridge of my nose, especially if it's a bronzer, or else it's not gonna look right. And then I'm switching to a basically bigger version of that brush, and I'll use this to bronze up. And since it's a bronzer, I'm going to use this more like a true bronzer and not like a contour that I usually do. So that just means higher points where the sun would hit, essentially. So like I would usually apply my contour right here. I'm just gonna apply it slightly higher to really warm my face, but I usually start on the perimeter of my face like this and pull it in. And I'll go like along the sides of my cheek like this. And this has a nice like, not like luminous finish, like a satin finish. I prefer bronzers that dry down to a matte, bronzers and contours, but this one's a really good one if you don't want like a fully matte powdery finish. But my favorite is the Makeup by Mario one. That one's gonna be hard to beat because it leaves such a nice like powdery finish. But I'm looking for other similar alternatives. So if any of you guys know anything, just like tell me, because I'll literally try anything at this point. But this one's a really nice one. It blends out so beautifully. It blends out as if like I use like a stippling brush and just sat here for 20 minutes and did this. Oh my god, this hair. Anybody else get those like crazy wiry hairs? Like it's literally like a wiry thick hair, and I don't know why I'm getting it, but I'm also gonna bronze at the bottom here just to finish off the warmth, because if you just have a whole bunch of warmth up here and nothing down here, it's not gonna look right. I feel like I'm saying that a lot this video. It's not gonna look right, but I mean, it's true. Okay, looks good. I need to go and order the cooler tone version of this. There's a shade I liked, but then I forgot to order it. So Nova, while you edit this, go order it right now. Thank you. I always set my cream bronzer with a powder bronzer. And my gosh, I absolutely love the Pat McGrath bronzers. These, I rediscovered. I forgot I had these in my makeup like stash because I'm a product hoarder. That's not a surprise. But I fell in love with this so much I bought 2 more. But this is the Pat McGrath Labs SkinFetish Divine Bronzer, and I'm using the shade Bronze Dawn. I really want like a pretty bronzy look since my eyes are pretty cool. I kind of want to balance it out. I have 2 other shades that are like lighter and a little bit more muted, but this is just the best. It almost doesn't even show up on the brush when you pick it up, but when you put it on your face, it just like melts right in. I don't know how this bronzer does it, but it's just so beautiful. This tops my Essence bronzer. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Like I have 3, but I wanna buy even more because I use a lot of bronzer. I don't know if you could just tell, but so beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah. This has to be like the best bronzer I've ever tried in my life. But I'm so sad. I don't know why I forgot about it. Oh well, I remembered it now. Now time for blush. I don't own very many cream blushes. There's this cream blush palette I do have, but it just doesn't give me the range I thought I had with it. So I'm honestly not too invested. Like I'm not even really like wanting that many cream blushes. Like the ones I have, I really do like, but I don't think I need any more beyond that. And if I do want like a cream blush, I have so many lipsticks that would be perfect. I'm just gonna stick to using that. But if you have something that you think is unbelievably like amazing, let me know and I'll buy it. I'll try it. But I have like a Makeup by Myron that I really do like. I might grab a couple more shades of that. But I'm grabbing the MAC powder bronzer in the shade Desert Rose. This has just been my go-to. Ever since I got this, I haven't stopped using this like ever since I got this, I haven't stopped using this. This is just, I've been using this like daily. I used to use the shade Floor Power or Flower. No, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Floor Power. That was like my go-to blush, but that one's like a lighter pink color. And this is just so pretty. Like if you find that copper tone is too orange on you, and like for me, it is a bit orange, but I kind of like that look some days. It's like a perfect pink. It's like, I think it's like a neutral, it looks very cool toned in the pan, but I mean, if you look at my face, I mean, maybe because I applied it on bronzer, it looks a little warmer, but it's really beautiful. Like, this might be my favorite blush. I don't know, my Charlotte Tilbury one is hard to beat though. No. I think, okay, this is a top contender. I need to go through my blushes and swatch everything. So pretty. But I'm trying to focus more my blush like from my like eyes like out here. I did go in a little bit more than I normally do, but I'm trying to get like a really nice rosy glow to balance out like the purple in my eyes. And then just a little on my nose. So pretty. And I always dab with like powder bronzers and blushes. It just gives a softer finish. And I've never had an issue with blending out like this. But it's also because I feel like this foundation set really well as well. So is that enough blush? I think so. Now, if you know me, I don't like highlighters. I go for very glow from within highlighters, and I literally only have 2 highlighters that I like. But now this shadow right here that I applied on my lid, very pretty. So I'm just gonna use that. I'll use my finger for my nose, but like, look at that. Did I put it? Yeah. It's like a pearlescent type of glow, but I just put like a dot on my nose and then a little on my bridge like that. And then I'll use like a brush with a light hand because this is an eyeshadow. It's gonna be more pigmented than most other things. I'm just gonna dab it right there. And I'll pretty much connect it to like where my brow bone ends. Yeah, that's beautiful. So I'm glad I found multiple uses for this. I wonder if any of these shadows are gonna be a nice blush. That'll be an interesting idea for next week. Nice, very pretty. I'm just applying it just like to my cheekbones. Nice and high. Very, very pretty. I like that. Now time for the lips. I have very like dry, dehydrated lips, and I usually apply like lip balm throughout the day or like before I do my makeup. Now I usually use like the Essence Volumizing Collagen like lip balm. It's really nice and it has like a nice cooling feeling, but I always end up going back to the OGs. This, the real ones know, this is $1 from like any beauty supply store. And I think I see them online these days, but still it's not like $1 like how they will be in these stores. These are the best. I've had this on since this morning and my lips feel a little bit more hydrated. I mean, they're still pretty bad and I peel up my lips a lot, but this, and I'll put this on before bed and you just marinate in it and you just wake up with like a fresh new set of lips. It's really sticky. And I know some people don't like sticky lip glosses, but this, like, it just stays on. Otherwise, it just like things, maybe I talk a lot, or I know I eat a lot, but like, it just stays on. And that's important for me. Okay, but I'll go ahead with my lip liner. I'm using the Maybelline Lifter Liner in the shade Let's Bounce. This has been like, oh gosh, this lip liner, hold on. This lip liner, like the Maybelline Big Lift lip liners, lifter liners, are so nice. Super pigmented and super creamy, and they're like the twist up kind. Oh, is it? I thought they were. Yes. I think that's going up. Yeah, it is. It's a twist up kind. These are like my favorite kinds. And you have to give it a second to dry down. A lot of people will just go in with a lipstick like right then. But if you really want lasting power, let it dry for a little bit. Like I'll first line my lips, let it dry, and then I'll put a little bit more, blend that in, and then I'll put my lipstick on. So I let this dry a little bit. Now I'll put a little bit more and blend this in. So then you don't lose your coverage on the outer side, outer perimeter of your lips. So this is like a lasting lip liner. It's gonna last really well. You just have to let it dry and it's fine. Just make sure you get the corners because I tend to miss that sometimes. Okay, let that sit for a little while longer before I go into my lipstick. Okay, that seems dry enough. But I'm using Pillow Talk Fair and blotting this in the center of my lips. This is such, you know, this is like pretty light on me, but this is such a pretty like inner lip color. It's pretty like cool toned, like on me. So it really goes for looks with like cool toned eyes like this one. Right. Let me actually use a lip brush. I'm gonna use a lip brush from like this other lip liner that I've never used. I'm gonna blend this in. I think yesterday I literally just used my lip gloss to do it, but I really want this to look seamless. Very pretty. Love me some lip combos. Last up is the L'Oreal Paris Plump Ambition Hyaluron Lip Oil, and I have the shade Latte Glace. I've only used this like a handful of times, but honestly, I'm not a fan. This is like, it feels so thin. Yeah, there is like a nice like plumping like feeling, like you get that, you know, the burning tingling sensation, but it's not as strong as a lot of my other plumping lip glosses. I have a lot more plumping lip glosses that are just way better. Like I wouldn't use this for plumping. Now, when it comes to moisturizing, hydrating, I don't know, because this just does not last on my lips. I like, even without eating, I did try this like another day. I feel like I had to reapply this so many times, but this just was not sticking. Yeah, and even the plumping feeling I'm getting right now, it's more like minty. Yeah, I wouldn't use this for plumping like at all. It just gives like a nice like minty, little bit like plumping sensation, but like barely. But I feel like this is too thin for the price, because this, I think this is like $16 or $17, which is quite expensive for a drugstore lip gloss. And so like, as someone that is very passionate about lip products, this was really disappointing to me. Now I will use it. I don't mind reapplying things over and over again, but it does annoy me, like, you know, after I eat, I'll reapply. But if I'm out shopping, or, you know, I'm like, I have a little kid I'm trying to chase after, I'm not trying to dig through my bag multiple times. So the fact that I had to keep reapplying this really did annoy me. And it's just so thin. I feel like, I don't know if it's doing anything for my lips and the hydration. I mean, if it has hyaluronic acid, it probably will, but it's just not staying on long enough to actually make a difference. So this, like the color itself, beautiful. If they can make this in a thicker formula or something that just stays on better, this would be like one of my top lip gloss, because this shade is beautiful. But because it doesn't last at all, this is like I have to rate this like a 4 out of 10. Sorry, L'Oreal, and especially for the price. Like, this is not worth your money. I keep saying this all over my TikTok and everyone's raving about it, but I just don't like this. That's my thoughts. I mean, it still makes for a great lip combo. You're just gonna have to reapply all the time. Okay, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the look. This headband's cute. I don't know if I wanna keep it, let's see. I actually trimmed my fringe. I think I have to go a little shorter. I really like it though. What do you guys think? That's pretty much the video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you're gonna recreate this, or if you have alternatives to suggest for these, because I'm trying to encourage looking for alternatives, because I do know these are pretty pricey. And just in general, I also wanna know more affordable alternatives, because, you know, I am spending quite a bit of money on makeup. I have a haul coming up. So stay tuned for that. But I really enjoyed this look. I mean, I feel beautiful with this face on. So I'm really excited to experiment more with this eyeshadow palette, because this was definitely a splurge for me. But I'm really excited to play. Like, I have a lot of new makeup, so I'm just super excited to create looks. But you guys are just gonna see nonstop face after face after this. But if you like my video, give me a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments what you enjoyed about my video, things you want to see, things you want to see less of, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I upload there multiple times a day, including like little reviews of things I use daily. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again soon.